Well, good evening, everyone. It's such an privilege and an honor to be here tonight. We are going to get started. We actually did a little test run tonight, and it's a good thing that we did because our feature, Juicy Butterfly, is having a little technical difficulties, but she will be joining us again tonight. So tonight we won't tarry with me playing around with uh, the the board, if you will. I do want to do a disclaimer. So there's feedback in my mic, and that's why I took a long pause. But I want you to know that if you hear any background sounds, they are the sounds of Costa Rica. They are oftentimes barking dogs and roaring motorcycles. So bear with me if you happen to hear that sound. Tonight, I want to go on and share with you, man, what's been on my heart all day. As we get ready to feature um, one of our juicy butterflies. The sound is doing something weird. It's giving me feedback every few minutes. So I'm going to try to keep talking through some of the sound technical difficulties tonight. I'm not sure what's going on, and hopefully we'll get past this. But what I want to do is let me just set the tone a little bit using a quote that really stuck out to me. And it's from Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And she says, when a woman is frozen in feeling, when she can no longer love herself, when her blood, her passion no longer reach the extremities of her psyche, when she is desperate, then a fantasy life is far more pleasurable than anything else she can set her sights on. Her little match lights, because they have no wood to burn, instead burn up the psyche as though it were a big dry log. The psyche begins to play tricks on itself. It lives now in the fantasy fire of all yearning fulfilled. This kind of fantasizing is like a lie. If you tell it often enough, you will begin to believe it. So once again, the sound is giving me feedback. I'm not sure if it's giving you feedback on that end. The issue of that we as juicy butterflies, when we take on the juicy spirit process, we actually dive into the places of ourselves to be able to take it and use it for our own good. There are so many women who are suffering in silence. There are women who are actually in relationships, who are hanging on the vine of their life by a thread. And the suffering that we see women experiencing, I should say that we don't see actually, because it looks like we are thriving because we are performing. And many of us live with performance anxiety without even knowing it. I mean, even I have times where my good is not good enough. That's a program. Many of us are functioning on programs, old programs that we inherited that were not given to, that are not ours. We're functioning on programs that are not ours, that were passed on to us, that we have not questioned. And so the question is, when do you come into your own? When do you come into your own and begin to live from a place of fullness that you define for yourself? Now, when you begin to define things for yourself, usually there is a fear. There's a fear because many of us think that if we don't have any boundaries, that we will be taken advantage of. Those are our trust issues speaking. Some of us think that if we, for some reason, don't have these rules and don't have these stoplights or these yield lights, usually given to us by someone else or something else that we've inherited over time from one layer of the culture, from one system, from one institution to the next. Oftentimes we're operating on automatic and don't even know it. The issue of depression is real. We just lost another sister who is known, those of you who are naturalistas know about Miss Jessie's. And the two sisters and their story of how they founded Miss Jessie's. And actually they were vanguards in the hair care industry. They provided solutions for, and are still providing solutions for women who wear their hair natural. And the sister TT Branch committed suicide. Now, you know, earlier this year, we had another sister who was becoming a young icon who also committed suicide. There's been a number of clergy who've committed suicide. So our scripture quoting is not even enough. We have to go deeper than just putting a Band-Aid on it with scripture quoting. Oftentimes minorities are the ones who are the last in line for personal development or for therapy. We put off and we delay and we put off and we delay. Yet we go to the mall for Black Friday. We pay attention to what's being worn and sold to us on the reality shows. Pay attention to what's going on. We're constantly getting bombarded with definitions of what our womanhood is supposed to look like by situations that have been produced. Even some of our theology has been produced. And so until you are willing to do an investigation of everything that is the essence of who you are, then what are you operating on? So tonight, our guest is Dana Beasley, who is a juicy butterfly who has participated in 6 months Actually a little longer, because she took my 30-day process, the Juicy You, which is an introductory process to the Juicy Spirit Awakened 6 months rites of passage for adult women, where we dive into your merging the sensual, the sexual, and the spiritual as one. And I believe that every woman rebirths her purpose, her passion, and her pleasure, especially when she takes on her life. And I have to brag about this last group, that we had 100% completion. All of the women who started with this process completed to the end. So the race is not even given to the swift, but to those who endure to the end, because there is no race. This is not school. No one's grading you. And so many women say that they're not going to do this. You know, I'm going to go and get some support when I get it together. That's an oxymoron. You don't have to wait until you're in pain in order to have pleasure. In fact, this process introduces you to that. And so I want to give Dana an opportunity to come back onto the line. So we are at the top of the hour, and I want to take the full breath to have this discussion. We started it in our private alumni group, talking about depression and the effects that this was having on our spirit and what we see. Because one of the benefits of doing your own work is that you become much more aware of the women who are around you. It's very difficult to be in the company of women who are bitter, who are complaining, who are wearing down their own self-concept and accept it as being normal. And so, Dana, I see you came back on the line. Hopefully your presence helps with some of the feedback that I'm getting. I kind of feel like Yolanda Adams, and when I've seen them have to take out the earpiece because of the feedback that they're getting and be a professional about this thing. So I don't know how it sounds to you who are viewing on the other end right now, but this is live. And, you know, I have to surrender my own perfectionism, my own desire to present to you a polished product, and just stand in the anointing, stand in the oil that has been on me all day. And I know, Dana, you have some too. So tell us a little bit about, I don't know where to start. Let's see. You have so many juicy testimonies from your process that started with the 30-day process with your abundance magic. Would you like to start there?
Absolutely. Wow. When I started the 30-day process, it was that alone was a stretch for me, because I had never been through a coaching process like this before. Was not exactly sure what to expect, but it pulls you out of your norm, which is the purpose, because we get so complacent and so laid back and comfortable in the things that we do that we don't press toward the mark. So the 30-day process, and actually I think I was during Lent season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was during Lent season, and so that 30-day process was amazing for me. I know we had set goals for me. Two of the goals that I had set, one of them was to just simply go on a vacation. And the other thing we talked about was that I needed a car. And by the time those 30 days were up, both of those goals were reached. Both of those visions were manifested right before my eyes. And I went on not one vacation, but 2 vacations within a week of one another, and then turned around and bought a car. So, yeah, the process is the juicy you process, the 30-day process, was one that was well worth it. Well worth the stretch, well worth getting out of my comfort zone and putting me back in alignment with myself. And from there, the sky has been the limit at this point, moving forward. And that started, like I said, back in Lent season. So I think we started in what, January or February?
Yeah, one of the things that I love about you, Dana, and I love all of my clients, but I really, really love the ones who come in and ask questions and dig in, and because then it's the process is not about me. The process is not about conforming to more performance. You really, without telling your business, you
Tell it, tell
really came and grabbed on to this process. What made you come out of yourself in that way?
I needed a change. I had been in a 17-year marriage, and my husband at the time decided that he no longer wanted to be married. So here I am with 3 children and had become a single mother. Now, a lot of people out there have done it and have done it 10 times over and, have
Mm-hmm.
been there, done that, and that's fine, but I had never done that. And that was something that right there alone was different for me. So I knew at that point I needed to change some things within. Um, Even with the marriage ending, I had gone through counseling with a therapist and learned some things about myself. Quite frankly, I learned that I had lost myself. It was through counseling. The
Girl, you
therapist,
better talk.
this therapist sat there and said to me, "What happened to you?" And so
Woo!
really, at that moment, it hit me that I've lost myself. I didn't know whom I was anymore, and I needed to redefine myself. But I couldn't go back to the old me because, see, I got married when I was 23. I'm 42. I couldn't go back to the 23-year-old. I had to
You better
redefine
talk in
me,
here.
redefine myself. And so with Juicy You, it allowed that outlet. It allowed me to redefine myself. And then even with Juicy Spirit, it allowed me to dig even deeper and really focus on who I am and what I want and where I am at this point. We always talk about how, God will meet you where you are. I had to meet myself where I was. And I had to realize where I was. So Juicy You and Juicy Spirit both just put me where I needed to be and gave me that stretch, that reach, that outlet, all of the above, to really redefine whom I was, who I am, the the I am in me, and really move forward to where I need to be, even in the future.
So, man, that. See, this is what you do. This is what you work me up, man. Oh, yes, indeed.
We
Um,
got time. We got time. Let's go.
I what I have to ask you, because what does sensuality and sexuality have to do with coming out of after the storm, ministry and marriage and me? So what does sensuality and sexuality have to do with that from your point of view?
From my point of view, I got married at 23, and my former husband is 7 years older than me, and so really, I had not explored a lot of sensuality, um, and some sexuality. So for Juicy You, it really pulled that out of me. Um, I knew leaving
Now
a
don't act
marriage.
like Juicy pulled it out of you that much.
I know, right? Well, and that's where I was going to go. I knew, in getting out of this marriage, I knew that okay, I want to date again. I want to, excuse me, explore and really get to know, what's out there and who's out there. And Juicy pulled out of me redefining me. So my sexual and my sensuality, I knew that was a major thing that I had to redefine. Um, I've always admired the sexiness of a woman, not really realizing the sensuality of a woman. And so that was something that I really stepped into. I wanted to embrace it. I wanted to really feel sensual and feel sexy. I cut all my hair off. Okay, that
Yeah.
was a stretch for me. I've had long hair since, shoot, my mother would tell you, since I was born. And I think I cut my hair one time when I turned 30. I cut it off. And then I never cut my hair again. But then during this process, I wanted to get healthier as a part of my sexuality. I wanted to get healthier and just really, redefine who I was. So I changed my diet. I changed the lotions that I use. I changed the deodorants that I use. I cut the perm out of my hair. I just whacked everything off and really felt good about who I was because I was in charge. I was making the decisions. I was deciding, that I want to go this route. I don't care what this person thinks. I don't care, and I don't have a husband here right now to tell me, no, I like your hair long. No, I want your hair this. No, it didn't matter. It's what I want. This is a this is about embracing who I am and what I
Mhm.
and I really wanted to step out of the house or even in the house, just be comfortable in my skin, comfortable with whom I am, and really dress the way I wanted to dress, flirt the way I wanted to flirt, speak the way that I wanted to speak, bat my eyes if I wanted to, whatever it was. I really wanted to embrace sexuality and sensuality, even as a minister. Just because we are in the church, just because we are in the leadership roles, does not mean that we aren't women. We aren't sensual women. We aren't sexual women. It doesn't mean that you have to stop being you. It means
Mhm.
that embrace all of you because we are created wonderfully we're beautifully and wonderfully made.
Well, you took a major risk. You're not the first clergy, first lady, former first lady who has taken the Juicy Spirit journey. There are definitely it seems to be attractive to people who are already leading ladies, no matter whether they're lay people or clergy. But I definitely have a special place in my heart for clergy who take the journey, who take the risk. And I call it a risk. Why do you think it's a risk to, as a clergy woman, a minister, ordained, serving in a pulpit, to take this journey? I'm not sure that I get it because I've been away from being in that fear-based company and mindset for so long. I haven't been in it in a long time. So even as I have launched Juicy Spirit, I've gotten further away from trying to make everyone comfortable and just, this is what it is. And it speaks to whoever it speaks to, because in me trying even to make people comfortable with exploring something so sacred, so divine, which is them is you. I was still kind of trying. I was conforming to their spiritual laziness,
Yes.
but you're a little closer to that end. So what is it if a sister is listening and she's been in church all her life, or she is clergy, or she's considering, what is it, is it a risk to do Juicy Spirits a process like this?
Yes and no. There is a risk simply because you will not leave out the same way that you walked in. And so you risk. And look, and I have to use these words because this is what we can relate to. I mean, we say it in the church all the time. Oh, we don't want you to leave here the same way you came in, because then it's not, the spirit isn't with you. Well, guess what? You will not leave Juicy the same way that you came in. And it is a risk, because you risk the fact that your mindset will change. Your life will change. Your spirit will change. And that's the biggest piece. Even my spirit, it was a huge risk for me, because there were I could sit in the church and there were certain things that just wouldn't sit right with my spirit, having been through Juicy process, and really understanding and understanding who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risk because you have to come outside of your comfort zone. And that's a risk any day, every day, all day. If you come outside of your comfort zone, you're taking a risk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people taking a risk, every day now with the hands up and the I can't breathe revolution. They are taking a risk every time they walk down the street. So this process is no different. You're taking a risk, even being in clergy, because you will not be the same when you are finished the process. And you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready and willing to change. But here's the thing. Here's the good news. The good news is what God has for you is for you. What God had for me was for me. And it was a risk well worth taking, because my life has been completely different. I'm in a very good place right now. And I said this to someone the other day, and they looked at me and said, you are. I'm in a very good place right now. And I love where I am. And a lot of people who know me and who may view this in the future may say, well, she was in a good place anyway. Yeah, but there's some things you don't know. I'm in a better place now. I'm in a very good place right now. And Juicy brings that to pass. So the risk is that you won't be the same. You won't be the same. And it might even cause you to leave where you are. It's simple. It's that plain and simple. And I would tell you, LaTanya, I'm grateful that you don't sugarcoat it, that you don't make people comfortable, because that's the problem now, is that we are comfortable and we have to get uncomfortable, or as you like to say, we have to stretch in order to come into your own. And so I'm glad that you don't make it very comfortable for people, and that you just come out and say, look, this is where it is. This is where you are. Because you do work with so many of us individually, and you meet each and every one of us where we are.
Well, thank you, but I couldn't do it without having people around me to encourage and nourish me to do this work as well. And a lot of it is otherworldly. It's very ancestral. It's very much beyond me. Like, I can't just stop. The testimonies, the private conversations, the what happens in the group once you are really getting your process. I could never plan that. What some of the breakthroughs, the awarenesses, the birth that happens. So I see myself as more of a midwife, because I believe that it's already in every woman. And if you're listening to this, nothing is missing from you except information. You just don't know. And all that you need to know is in your DNA. And put in the right circumstances, you will activate your DNA. And Dana, I think that I have been a witness of that for you, because you came completely wedded to yourself. And you're a mother, you work, you're in ministry, and you gave this to yourself. And as you did that, now all this other information is opening up to you, and you don't have to go into detail about it, because it's definitely your process to own, and everybody ain't ready for some of the things that she has the vortexes that she has opened up. You know, everybody ain't ready for that. And
No.
and I really do, yeah, I could go there on, but that's not why we're here. But you came into your own after the marriage, you know, redefining who you are as a minister. And it may be high risk, but it's been high reward for many of the women. And I guess that's, what are some of the rewards that, besides the car, besides the honey, sweet honey thing that you have, what are some of the other rewards that you have experienced?
I would say the biggest reward for me, peace of mind. Because, you know, LaTanya, deep down inside, we all, every single one of us, deep down inside, at one point or another, knows that there's something more to this, or there's a question that something's just not right. Or
Yes.
There's a question that I still have to this day haven't had answered. And just to give people a nugget that you can relate to, I'll give you a prime example. When I remember I was in the 3rd grade, and I was we were in history class, and one of the they were discussing the Indians and how they had different plains in the Americas. And I remember asking the questions, well, where did the Indians come from? And the teacher just kind of looked at me and glossed over. And it's funny because it wasn't until this process, the very first module, that it clicked with me that, oh my gosh, that's why I have always hated history, because I couldn't get a very basic question answered. Well, in this process, I've become almost like a history buff, and I dig and I dig and I dig, and the things that I uncover, just like you said, the vortexes that I've uncovered has been amazing. And you know, just the peace of mind and the knowing that I knew it was more to it. I knew that there was something else. And oh my gosh, that thing that I experienced way back when, it wasn't just me feeling crazy, or it wasn't just me, you know, or oh, there's more people that think along the same line, or there's more people that experience the same thing. And you begin to build relationships that you never thought possible.
Oh,
So,
yes.
you know, that's huge. That reward, you build bonds.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the only way to put it. You build bonds.
Yes, I definitely haven't talked a whole lot about the Juicy Spirit Sisterhood and the community that we have. And you know, for many years, my friends, when I was a young girl, used to call me Mama LaTanya. She the old lady. And for years, I rejected that. you know, and a lot of times I just want to say to somebody, some of the things that you thought was a flaw about you, or something that someone said about you, is exactly what God will use for your purpose. And I am a mother of the group, and I do mother and protect the group because I want women to know what it is to come into a safe place. And so that's not as hard as we believe, you know, that it has to be for when women come together. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But I want to close out with some more juicy stuff, because there are people who are our age and older who are some celibate by force or celibate by shame, condemnation, you know, fear of their sensuality. And one of the things that I presented to the women at the Whole Women's Symposium is about the yoni egg. So on this Saturday, I'll be doing a special call for the women from the Whole Women's Symposium, and any other special invitations by invitation only, because I want to know who's on the line, just about the yoni egg. And also for the Insight community, which is the single and happy community. I Now Pronounce You Single and Happy is a book that I recommend to the women in Juicy Spirit. It is another community that I'm proud to be a part of and to contribute to. And so I definitely, yes, and Dana too. And I'm going to hold a call on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the yoni egg. But so how has the yoni egg been waiting for you?
Okay, well,
from the juicy.
I know, right? Let me just say this. I had never heard of a yoni egg until I came to Juicy. And when I got my first one and really began to use it and really began to understand it, I was like, oh, see, you done started something there. I have three yoni eggs, you guys. 3. And guess what? I'm probably going to purchase more.
Yes, honey, they are addicting, and I do supply the yoni eggs to the women of Juicy Spirit, to the women of Insight, and I always say to folks, I'm trying to work with this earring here. Don't just order your yoni egg online from anywhere like that, because I know we think we're resourceful, but you want to make sure you get it from a reputable carver. So I'm going to talk about that on Saturday, because you don't want to be putting man-made materials in your yoni. Hello.
Right. And so let me answer your question. The yoni eggs have worked. Juicylicious. Juices are wonderful. My honey even loves the egg, and it was funny because the first time he saw it, he was like, what the hell is that? But he's like, oh, you got your eggs? They work. So if you all are curious, please, it would do you some good to be on that call on Saturday. Trust me.
Yes, come to the call on Saturday, and if you don't have the information, just put comments wherever you are looking, or inbox me on Facebook, or hit me up on G Plus or whatever. I also have some other goodies coming up for the winter solstice, which, you know, in Juicy Spirit, we talk about rituals. We talk about things that women can do, because oftentimes women think that they're stuck, that just have to deal with whatever's happening, or that you could just, you can pray it away. However, and rituals is not about idolatry. Most religious people are more idolatrous than any heathen that they would ever call idolatrous.
Oh, yes.
I just had to let that sit for a minute for the listener. But we talk about this, the changes of seasons in Juicy, and so I do have a treat. Last year, I did a process called 777 Liftoff, not waiting until New Year's. We started right at the winter solstice, 2 weeks where while everybody was going to Christmas parties, a select group of people joined in to do a 21-day process of prayer and reflection to lead them into the new year. And so I have a goodie that's coming up for those of you who are listening as well, and stay tuned for that. So Dana, you want to close us out? We're about we got about 2 minutes. Particularly, you said something real powerful about depression. And so talk to the sister who wants to come into her own, has been through marriage, has been in some form of ministry, and further away from herself. So could you talk a little bit about what you shared earlier, that nugget and more?
Absolutely, and I'm going to try to do this quickly because I know we only have 2 minutes, but basically what I said was, this is the season where, we're experiencing death, financial constraints, family feuds, relationship issues. So much is going on during this season, and it brings about depression. However, we have come to know that depression is, it's not a big deal. Oh, you'll get through it. Oh, you're just, you're going through a mood swing. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand, nurturing mother and loving auntie and grandmother that does it all, that's the caretaker. What you have to understand and understand is that depression is very real, and it can be treated, it can be acknowledged, and it can be surpassed. Having suffered from it myself, I stand here before you at 42 years old. At 18 years old, I tried to commit suicide. Again, at 25 years old, I tried again. But I stand here at 42 years old and don't have a thought at all about suicide. Do I get depressed? There's times when I can feel depression coming, but I now have a self-awareness to combat that and to use tools. And Juicy teaches you tools to get through that. So yes, this is the time when you want to pull into a Juicy and just acknowledge whom you are and come into your own and really get that prayer answered. I know someone out there just prayed that prayer. God, just help me. God, I want to do better. God, I'm trying to figure this out. Juicy, that's why you're here today.
I didn't pay her to say that.
No, she didn't. I look, trust me, I can tell you from the heart. This is I tell people all the time, we pray and pray and pray, and when God gives us what we've asked for, we tend to throw it back in his face. And that's like us giving someone a Christmas gift and them throwing it right back in your face. So why would you give them a gift again? So if you prayed the prayer and you've asked for help, Juicy is probably the answer to your prayer. It's up to you to open the package.
Woo! Well, I just got a chill. On that note, I definitely think that we can close out tonight. I do want you to invite sisters to reach out to me via the links that are all over my Facebook page. You can find me right here, see? Right there. Rebirth by LaTanya Taylor at Facebook. You can tweet me at RevCoachCEO. Or you can just hit me up on good old email, and I'm offering complimentary sessions this week and probably some of next week while you all are cooking your Christmas dinner or whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, whatever. I remain unattached and available to do my divine work. And because I understand not only the reason for the season, but I understand the season. Yes. You got to know your season. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We'll be here again tomorrow night starting at about 8:45 to give folks a chance to get here and kicking off real good into it at 9 o'clock on tomorrow, same station, Transformation Station. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Dana, stay on the line.
Thank you.